Welcome back. Well, that's what we're focusing on this morning, and we've got retired Major General Garba Wahab, who is a former Director of Operations with the Army Headquarters. He was also the Chief Army Admin. He joins us via phone from Calabar. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, just as the report did say, this is shocking to a lot of people, but several questions are being asked about this. But for you, while this happened, what came to your mind when you saw this report?
Thank you very much. Well, let me cast the mind back to 2010. This is not the first time a large chunk of arrests was made on arms and ammunition. In 2010 at the Port, you remember the custom paid a large amount of weapons and it was seized by the NSA. Up to date, nothing serious has happened about it. And that's part of the problem we're having in Nigeria today. Nothing really happening to those who are involved. And I pray this time around, knowing the CG, I'm sure you will go through his promises. I pray something happens. And we need to be very careful so that we don't become part of the proxy wars. Apart from all the crises in Nigeria, we don't become part of the proxy wars in Middle East and North Africa. It's rather unfortunate. And how those items managed to be cleared. The first one in 2010, it was from Iran. This one is from Turkey, all coming from the same area. And you may recall that most of the weapons being used in the Northeast were actually from Libya. So we have a major issue with borders. Surprise those who are actually on the security watch that something like this is happening.
But, because I know that there's been this conversation about light weapons into the country, as you highlighted, from Libya. And then, in addition to that, we'll have this particular one. But for those who ask, is it possible that some of these kind of weapons may have found their way into the country, especially if you look at the way this was intercepted and then found out?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of weapons have found their ways into the country through this means. And we should expect more, especially with the closure of importation of vehicles through the land border. We should expect more of this type of discovery, because now the ingenuity will come in, either through here or seaports. So we need to do more about empowering the customs and even the immigration as to those who bring those things in. So if you don't empower them, give them the resources required, train them to be able to manage those resources, then we'll continue to have all these type of issues developing. So a lot of things need to be done from now on. At one point in 2013, the Army was contemplating having some units along the border, but that was going into somebody else's responsibilities. We need to allow those who are charged those responsibilities to perform their duty. And I believe so much needs to be done to curb this. Don't be surprised that this might be even the beginning.
Well, this certainly is not the first time we've seen something like that, of this nature. We've seen a couple of times. I'm happy that you went back to 2010. But again, sometimes they come through the ports, and this one didn't catch the eye of those around the ports. What if this wasn't intercepted by those who were within the city? So what do you think is really wrong in our clearing or in clearance of such a consignment and containers when they come into our country?
Well, I think a lot of things is actually wrong with the way we do things. Don't forget, we've been having system assault a long time ago about clearing. At one time, the policy was the customs and the major stakeholders will go to the point where those items are coming from, check them, certify them, and bring them in, so that when they come to Nigeria, nobody does anything again. I don't know how many countries have actually been practicing that. And then even here at our port, you have so many interests. So many people believe they are close to those at the corridor bar. And they send messages around, preventing those who are supposed to be doing their job, in performing their job. And that's part of the impunity we're talking about. If you don't have the impunity, all these type of things will continue to happen. The borders should be, those at the borders should be allowed to perform their responsibility.
Certainly, certainly this looks like the work or the job of a syndicate, because from the area that this is coming from, they all knew what they were bringing into the country. What would you be saying to the agencies that should be helping to check this?
They need to do more. Not only the customs, that's what I said. It's not only the customs, the immigration. There is even a federal government agency responsible for proliferation of small arms and weapons. What is the response? What have they been doing? They keep on buying figures all over the place, but in reality, nobody's doing anything. Nobody has been hearing much about them. You cannot have somebody sitting in an office and trying to solve the problem of light weapons, small arms, proliferation in the country. We need to wake up and do so much more about all these things.
Why do you say, initially in your opening sentence, you said, don't be surprised, this may just be the beginning? Why do you think that way?
If something has not been happening, if people have not been following events, I'm sure a lot of people will have been surprised, or some surprised, some happy about the government saying, let us close the land borders to car importation. It is not only cars that comes into Nigeria through the Republic of Benin or any of those countries from the Nigeria Republic. A lot of items are packed into those vehicles and they come in. How many of those land borders? The customs cannot cover virtually all the land borders. It's too expansive, it's too wide, it's massive, and we don't have the technology to cover everything. And that's why I said now that those things have been, you can't bring in vehicles from the land, from the Republic of Benin, Nigeria, Chad, or whatever. You have to come through either air or seaport. You will start seeing a lot of things happening right now.
Well, you're well versed in ammunition in terms of how many of them function. Looking at this one, pump action, not with bullets, with pellets. It means this one could take out a lot more people. What do you think is, because the last one that you spoke about, I think it had to do with some AK-47, and now we have this. It looks as though they're moving in gradation. What do you think is going on in people's minds?
A lot of people they are actually taking advantage of all the crises happening in Nigeria and what is happening elsewhere. And that's why I said we need to do so much. Let us be the security awareness need to be up so that we don't become part of the proxy wars all over the place. And that is exactly what is happening. There are crises in virtually all parts of Nigeria. And if this has gone out and has gotten to its final destination, God forbid, you know what will have happened. One of these alone will cost about over 600 that could harm, like you say, a battalion of the Nigerian Army. It's so much. It's mind-boggling. And whether it fires the normal ammunition or pellets or whatever, you are talking about lives. And there are technology now. Even in Nigeria, the local men, the local kinsmen have perfected their arts indoors, in Yola, everywhere, that they can turn this weapon into those firing both the conventional ammunition and the pellets. It's been seen all over the place. That's what was being used in Jaws during at the height of the crisis. So I won't be surprised if some of these are turned into those that can fire both rounds.
Well, I want to thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Retired Major General Garba Wahab, who is the former Director, Army Operations in the Army Headquarters. Thank you for your thoughts this morning.
Thank you very much.